Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
Alright people, this Saturday night we've got Josh Warrington, Kiko Martinez 2 for the IBF World Featherweight Championship. How did we get here? It's bizarre. It really is. We'll start with this, right? Does Josh Warrington deserve a world title shot off the back of the Mauricio Lara rematch? The answer, of course, is a resounding no. But we're here nonetheless. Would we have been here if Kiko Martinez hadn't have stopped Kid Galahad? Of course not. Of course he wouldn't have been here. I mean, Kid Galahad, God knows what he would have done. Kiko Martinez, God knows what he would have done. God knows what Josh Warrington would have done, because I really didn't have any idea, you know, what they would do with him, you know, post the Lara fight, the rematch anyway. Because it just kind of seemed like, well, he's kind of out in the wilderness almost at this stage. So I'm sure when Kiko knocked out Kid Galahad, Eddie Hearn was, seriously, I'd say Eddie Hearn was probably unhappy for the first like 5 minutes, and then he realised, Josh Warrington, he's a bigger name anyway. There we go, we're back in business. So we're here. It's again, like, it really is strange. Josh Warrington leaves Frank Warren to re-sign with Eddie Hearn. He vacates his IBF world title. He takes a comeback fight against an unknown Mexican puncher. Gets knocked out. Rematches him. Draw the headbutt. Say whatever you want to say about that. And now he's fighting a guy he beat 5 years ago for the title he vacated 2 years ago. Even saying that, kind of, you're just kind of like, how the hell did we get here? But we're here nonetheless. We're here nonetheless. Now I'm going to give my 2 cents on this fight, give my pick. You know something? When Josh Warrington fought Kiko Martinez, I think it was May 2017, May or June of 2017. It was his first fight on BT Sport with Frank Warren. And going into that fight, Josh Warrington had a lot of hype around him. You know, he'd gone through European level. His last fight was against Paul Hyland Jr. and he blew him. Oh, he didn't. He did fight Paul Hyland Jr., but he took him. I think it took him 8 rounds to get rid of him. But nevertheless, he was able to get rid of him, and that was with Matchroom. So he was out of the ring for about a year, going from Matchroom to Frank Warren. And actually, if you see Josh Warrington going into that fight, you know, before he started training camp, he was a little bit overweight. He normally keeps himself in good shape, but you could even see the 2 chins. So he was out of the ring for a year, and he had to take, I think he even said by his own admission, he was like a stone overweight, and not good weight either. So he had to do all that going into that first fight. He tried to outwork Kiko Martinez for large parts. I think we all thought at that stage Martinez was further gone than he actually was. So Martinez was able to counter, was able to make it really, really tough in there for Josh Warrington. It was a majority decision win for Josh Warrington. Many people felt that he lost. Many people felt it could have went either way. As it was, Josh Warrington got the win that night, and I genuinely thought that's the end of Kiko. Was the last we'll see of him. Kiko was able to knock out Kid Galahad back at the end of November. Kiko, anytime he stepped up to really world, proper elite level, he was stopped. You know, he was stopped by Frampton, was stopped by Russell, he was stopped by Santa Cruz. So he's been around the block. You know, even in the Kid Galahad fight, which he did win, at times I was watching that thinking, will I even do a review for this fight? Because it's just so one-sided in Kid Galahad's favour. Kiko doesn't seem to have anything to be able to, you know, answer with. That I was thinking, would I even bother? Obviously, the knockout came and that changed things. But Josh Warrington, even post-Lara, you would imagine, is still fresher than Kiko Martinez. That will play a factor. Josh Warrington, I think, going into this fight, he needs to focus on defense, and I think that's something that he is going to focus on moving forward. I think he knows himself now that he is not a devastating puncher, that he showed decent punch resistance against guys like Lee Selby and Carl Frampton. Lee Selby can't crack an egg. Carl Frampton's power, certainly at featherweight, is not what it was down at super bantamweight. He was able to take their shots, and he was able to hurt them, you know, where people didn't think he would. That French guy he fought in October 2019, he was able to stop him in 2 or 3 rounds, hurt him a couple of times, stopped him no problem. That same guy fought Michael Conlon in 2020, and Conlon he did stop him, but he stopped him much later, and he stopped him with low blows. So never with headshots, whereas actually Josh Warrington was able to stop him with headshots. So I'm sure Josh Warrington was kind of thinking, I am a puncher. You know, I can hurt these guys and I can take shots. So if I go in, I land my shots, they're not going to have any answer. Obviously, he found out the hard way against Mauricio Lara. And in the first round of that rematch, he won that round. Very circumspect, very cognizant about his comeback, was using his jab a lot more and wasn't holding his feet as much. So when Josh Warrington really wants to open up and try and outwork you and try and get in close to you like he did against Lee Selby, he'll often plant his feet. A lot of power will be on some of them shots, even though he's throwing volume. There is a bit of weight behind them. Whereas in the Lara rematch, he just didn't want to know. He was jabbing, and when he would try and maybe open up a bit, he wasn't looking to stand and trade, if you know what I mean. He wasn't looking to stay in the pocket any longer than he needed to, because he did that in the first fight and it cost him. So I think he's going to do in this fight. I think he's going to be wary because he knows he can be hurt. He knows that although Kiko has certainly seen better days, he does still carry power. And Kiko obviously has an eye when he's in the ring. He's got a third eye that's not just looking at what his opponent is doing in terms of offensively. He's also looking at what his opponent is doing in terms of technically. You know, when Kid Galahad was caught, he was caught, I believe he was caught with, it was a right, was a right or left? I think it was a right. But he was backing up and he was also switch hitting a lot. And he was switch hitting when he didn't really need to be. Right, and he was making mistakes. He was backing up with his head in the air. Obviously, Kiko was able to wise onto that. He was able to spot it, and he was able to see synchronicities in what Kid Galahad was doing, in the mistakes he was doing, which ultimately led him to be able to land that shot. I'm sure in his mind he was thinking, if you keep backing up like that, if you keep turning, you know, when you do like that, if you keep switching like that, I know what you're going to do, and you don't think I'm going to be able to figure it out, but I will. And boom, figured it out. And he was able to take Kid Galahad out. I keep getting mixed up between Kiko and Kid. I hope I am not mixing the two up. But he was able to take Kid Galahad out. Now, Josh Warrington, there could come a time where he's maybe making a little few synchronicities that are not technically what you should be doing. And there's a good chance Kiko might be able to exploit some of them. For example, if Josh Warrington does hold his feet, now he should have memory of the first fight and know that this guy, although he was fresher then, he can still counter me and he can still hit very hard. And Josh Warrington may not have, I don't think he does, the confidence in his chin anymore. I think he may be uncomfy in there if he holds his feet and Kiko Martinez is landing. Even if he's landing on gloves, even if he's landing to the body, Josh Warrington will feel them and he will know on a subconscious level, I can be hurt. These shots are hurting me and I don't want to get hit in the chin. So that could actually make Josh Warrington actually probably box a bit more negatively. So if he does maybe try and look to outwork Kiko early on and just think, well, I did it in the first fight, I'll do it in this one. But maybe he wouldn't have the same degree of confidence in his own chin. So we could see him fight negative. If which case, you know, what Kiko Martinez needs to do, and something that he is very good at, he's great at cutting the ring off, and he's great at pressuring a fighter by just dipping low, keeping his head down low, coming up with a jab, and being able to kind of back the opponent up against the ropes. And bear in mind, Kiko Martinez isn't, he's 36, 37 now. So for him to go a 12-round fight, he's needing to pace himself. He's needing to be smart in a 12-round fight because he knows he's not going to have the same gas tank that he had 10 years ago. So when he's doing that, he's pressuring his opponents. He's using his footwork to get inside and to push them back. But he's exerting very little energy doing it. While the opponent is punching, he's missing, he's backing up, he's thinking about defense, physically and mentally. He's getting drained by Kiko. It's very smart. It's very smart. You'll see he did it against Zelfa Barrett. Zelfa Barrett was looking to land the left hook, was going over the top of Kiko's head. And all the while he was doing that, he was getting backed up against the ropes, and Kiko Martinez was able to land shots on Zelfa Barrett when he was up against the ropes. Again, it's very smart in what he does in there. You know, Kiko is a veteran at this stage. He knows how to get his way through a fight. He knows what to look for. He knows how to make you work when you don't want to work, and for him to take rest when he wants to take rest and you want to work. He's very smart like that. And I think as he's gotten older, he's not improved in terms of physically, but in terms of how he's able to negotiate a fight and how his thinking is over the course of a fight, it's improved. It would have to. You know, for fighters who are, you know, fighting on, probably past their sell by date, but, you know, still at a decent level, they have to change things. They can't just fight the way they did at 37 the same way they did at 27. It's just not going to work. They're not going to have the same youthful energy, as the saying goes, or this, so to speak, I should say. So I reckon he might do something like that with Warrington. Warrington, for me, he needs to use his jab. If he's going to try and outwork Kiko, he's really going to want to do it late on. So if there's a situation where maybe he picks up a round or two early on, and maybe Kiko has a little bit of success, early on as well. But Josh Warrington is boxing Kiko, and maybe he's making Kiko think. Maybe Josh Warrington, it's getting into the pocket, but getting out nice and quickly. So Kiko is actually trying to counter, but he's falling short. So the shots aren't actually landing, or he's swinging and he's missing, and Josh Warrington is making a miss because he's being a lot more cognizant on defense. At that stage, you might actually see the tank of Kiko Martinez drain. Josh Warrington would be well advised to go to the body. Again, aging fighter, slow him down. Kiko Martinez isn't amazingly fast, but slow him down more to the body. At that point, if you're talking rounds probably 8 through 10, you might have a more tired, a more stationary Kiko Martinez, at which point then it might be a bit safer to go and say, right, now I'm going to stand my ground, now I'm going to put it on you, now I'm going to try and hurt you. I can't see Kiko winning a decision. I can't see him even winning that many rounds realistically in this fight, because I think that he's really going to be banking on Josh Warrington, having some fragility there, mental fragility in terms of physical from the Mauricio Lara fights. And I'm wondering if he's hoping to maybe fight his way, knowing, because he's been, have some disgraceful scorecards against him, like the Zelfa Barrett fight example, when he was doing great work and they only gave him 2 rounds. I think he'll know that, and he'll know, I got to knock this guy out. So I'm going to have to try and make him feel uncomfy. I'm going to have to try and make him make a mistake, and I'm going to have to be very smart and pick my moments very carefully in order to land my big shots. Whereas Josh Warrington is the opposite. Just pick your shots carefully and be cognizant of defense. If a knockout comes, it's definitely going to come from Kiko, in my opinion. I don't see Josh Warrington being able to stop Kiko Martinez, and I don't see Kiko winning the decision. I think Josh Warrington is going to win this fight. I gave it much thought, but I think Josh Warrington's going to win this fight. I think Josh Warrington's going to box very cautiously, very sensibly, and try and not fall for the traps Kiko sets for him early on. And then late on in the fight, he's actually going to take a bit of a stranglehold on this fight. He's going to outwork Kiko. He's not going to get him out of there, but his work rate from head to body, he'll be a bit more comfy. The weight will have probably gone a bit off some of Kiko's shots, at which point Josh Warrington, I think, will be able to take a foothold in this fight and get over the finish line. That's what I think will happen. The exciting thing is, I don't actually know. Josh Warrington could go in there, he could take a few shots from Kiko and just go into a shell and just get outworked by Kiko. You never know. It could happen. Strange things have happened. In terms of the undercard, you got Ebony Bridges versus some Argentinian girl for a world title. So, we will be doing a watch along for this fight. Obviously, not the whole card, but most of the undercard will be doing a watch along for that. So we got Bridges fighting on there. We'll see how she gets on. The fight I'm interested in is Dalton Smith versus Ray Moylett. That should be interesting. Smith is a very good prospect. I'm very keen on him. He's in there with a live dog against Ray Moylett. The only issue I think with Ray Moylett is since 2018, since 2019, right? So since January 2019 till now, we're talking 3 years, he's had 1 round of action. In fact, I think in that 1 round, the fight was over pretty quick. So let's say he's had 2 minutes. 2 minutes of ring time in 3 years. It's not enough. It's not enough. For that reason, and the guy he fought, I think it was last year, there's journeyman, and then there's just get that lad out of the audience. Do you want 50 quid? Yeah, take a few shots from that boxer and fall down. That was it. That was just who he fought. So, if it was Ray Moylett firing on all cylinders, makes a hell of a fight. If it was the Ray Moylett who had the momentum going into 2018, not inconceivable that he'd win this fight. But this Ray Moylett, who's been inactive, he's not going to win. It's going to be a fun fight, but he's probably going to get stopped mid-rounds, I would imagine. He can be hurt, and he's got a poor defense as well. He's always had a poor defense, Moylett. He gets hit for fun. So I think that he's going to get stopped by Dalton Smith. They're the 2 kind of fights on the undercard I'm interested in as well. But in terms of this fight, Josh Warrington, 2 win, points, UD, I reckon 8-4. 8-4, 7 or 9-7, 9-7, 8-4. Josh Warrington to win. If anyone gets dropped, I expect to be Josh Warrington. I don't see Kiko getting dropped by Warrington. Could be wrong, but Josh Warrington to win and regain the title. He vacated. I'd probably unify with Lee Wood next. Makes sense. They could do that on neutral territory. Might even get, well, they'll definitely get an arena, but maybe even a small stadium. Who knows? For now, I'll leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed the video, lads and lasses. If you could, smash the like button, hit subscribe, help me get to 7K, maybe even this weekend. I'll talk to you. Peace.